Okay, YouTubers, this is Pete. This is a K1200RS. It's a 2003 model, and as you can see, I just took all the fairings off. I had to do other maintenance, so it required all the fairings to go off. So that's what it looks like after. I'm going to do the brake bleeding procedure, which is the integrated brakes, wheel circuits, and the ABS control circuits as well. So I have another video on YouTube how to take all the fairings off, so I just did that yesterday. So I figured since I'm home with recovering from knee surgery, I got the time. So integrated brakes, servo assisted, and you know you have integrated and servo assisted brakes when you press your lever with the key on, you hear the servo motor turn. Anyway, these are partially integrated, which means that when you press the front lever, you also get the back brake pressure as well. On fully integrated bikes, you would press the back pedal, you also get the front. So this one, back brake just does the back, and front does both. So it's got 4 circuits on the bike. On this video, I'm going to show you how to do the front wheel circuit and the rear wheel circuit. The other 2 control circuits will be shown on the next video. You can see it, I labeled them. This one is the rear. It's the one that's on the outside. So it's all like one unit, but they're dual. So that's the rear control and wheel circuit reservoir. It does both. And this one is just the front wheel circuit. Okay, so that's the first one you're going to bleed, is this one here. Now you're supposed to get some special tools when you do that, but you don't really need to, but I did. And Beamer Boneyard sells this. Like 30 bucks, 34 bucks, I think they're on sale right now. But the reason you use this funnel when you're doing these circuits, these reservoirs are pretty small, and you're actually going to be using the servo motor to actually bleed the brakes. And basically it's just an added amount of fluid, so you can actually sit there and watch this thing go down, and you don't have the worry of running it low. If you had 2 people to do it, then yeah, you can have somebody sitting there filling it with a syringe or something. But this screws in. Let's see if you can see it. And then I noticed that on my 2003 that the rear, you can't get it. It's right underneath this here, but you have to basically take this screw out, cork screw on the back, right here. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, I took this out, and then you can swivel it. Okay, so you swivel it and put the screw back in on the outside of the bracket, and that'll hold it just enough so you can get to get it in there. And you may have to take this little line off the clip right here, the one that goes to the rear foot pedal. So when you're doing the rear brakes, you're going to be pressing on this slowly. It's also going to turn on the servo motor, and that's going to do the wheel circuit. So step 1 is the forward wheel circuit. So the first thing you'll do is remove this cap here, and you're going to bleed or suction out most of the oil fluid, not all the way down to the bottom. You want to suction out most of it, because I like to use a syringe instead of a turkey baster, because the turkey baster always seems to drip all over as you're removing it. It's not sealed, so the syringe works a lot better. Is you're going to come over to the 2 calipers, and you're going to remove the brakes. Okay, this is the step of removing the front brakes from the caliper. So I'm on the right side of the bike. I'm just doing this one as an example of how easy it is to do. So here's that little clip right there. So just pry up on it. It looks like that. There's a little slot right there that just snaps back in. So that's step 1. And you pull the spring out, and then you just take the pads right out. That's it, and they're pretty thin. They got the wear marks. As long as they're not down to the bottom, they're still good. I'm just going to use this wrench here to push the pistons back in. It should be almost all the way back because I did it yesterday. Didn't overflow it. I made these little blocks. They're 1 inch wide. I just made them 2 7/8 because they're just about that wide. And they're 2 inches long. They're a particle board or whatever this is. And basically they're 1 inch thick. So I figured I'd just measure the rotor. It was like 200ths of an inch. So plus 4 equals 1 inch. So okay, I made these shims so I just saved myself the time. Since I'm doing it by myself, I can open a regular bleeder without having to hold a loose caliper. The shims are in place and the caliper's secure, and I can open the bleeder easily. Okay, so that's step 2. So basically push the pistons back, and then that fluid is actually going to rise. You'll see it come up slowly. And when it rises, that's why you're removing it, because it will overflow. So remove the fluid so it doesn't overflow. Once you get both of these shimmed out and the pistons all the way back, then you're basically ready to go. Okay, fronts are shimmed out, and I got my bleeder bag hooked up to the left caliper, which is going to be bled first. Fill it up with new brake fluid. I'm using the DOT 5.1. It's compatible with DOT 4. It has a higher boiling point. It's like 520 or something, as opposed to like 400 and something on DOT 4. So okay, don't use DOT 5. It's not compatible with DOT 4 or 5.1. Okay, when I'm putting this funnel in, make sure you tighten it from the bottom. If you twist it like I'm doing here on the top, you will break it, and I did break it, and I had to re-glue it. So just tighten it from the bottom like you see me doing there. Don't twist it from the top. I ordered the speed bleeder bag off of eBay for $6, so as well as these speed bleeders you see in the picture. Definitely worth having it. The hose fits nice, and there's absolutely no mess. So worth getting. You do the left one first, close the bleeder, then you do the same for the right. Same procedure. Okay, when you're filling this reservoir, you're going to be doing the left caliper first, then the right. When you're almost done, don't fill it up completely, because once you're done with the right, you're going to take this reservoir off. So you want to fill it partially, and you want to drain it, bleed it till it gets below the surface of the reservoir, and then you can remove it without a mess. Okay, funnel's in place. My bag's on the left front caliper. I'm turning the bike on, and it's going to go through its self-test, and the fault light's going to blink, but that's normal until you start rolling the bike, so that's normal. And then I'll be pressing on the handle and bleeding the brakes. Okay, so right now the bike's on. I'm just going to press the lever very slowly. I'm just barely moving it so it's a switch. Okay, I'm at the left side bleeder. Got my bag hooked up. And this is a regular bleeder, not a speed bleeder. I just want to show you can do it by yourself. So right now the funnel's on there. It's full on the forward system. And I'm going to do the forward wheel circuit. I'm opening up the bleeder. I'm getting dirty fluid from there. I'm watching that. If I go a little bit more, see how fast it goes. I'm already starting to get clear fluid out of it. And the bag is nice and brown. Closing the bleeder and releasing. See how dirty that is. And coming out of there is nice and clean. Pressing the handle. I'll show you that actually. There's a picture of straddling the front of the bike. The reservoir is full. Bleeder's on. Pressing it slowly. Working up the bleeder. Here comes the fluid. Dark. You can watch the funnel going down very, very slow. I'm really getting clean through a lot of bubbles. Press a little bit faster, a little bit harder. There we go, nice clean fluid, or no bubbles. If I press the handle more, the reservoir will drop more. And that fluid's already coming in nice and clean. Keep holding it, close the bleeder. Release the bleeder. Yeah, because I made the mistake of overfilling this on this. When you're doing the right caliper, don't fill this up all the way, because you want to basically drain this all the way till you get to about right here, underneath the cap, or a little bit less. Then you can always top it off. Your handle is faster, so I'm going to press it faster. So if you were doing this with by yourself with that small little reservoir and you press the handle too much, okay, just close the bleeder very gently. I'm going to get it below the surface, and I can see with the flashlight what it's doing. Easy to do without the speed bleeders. Okay, once you finish with the front circuits or wheel circuits, put your pads back in and run the bike a few times. Press your front brake handle and then recheck your front reservoir and top it off. Second step will be, we're going to do the rear wheel circuit. This is the annual service, right? So the front wheel circuit, and then the rear wheel circuit. And again, this is the same reservoir for the wheel circuit as well as the control. So you'll be coming back to this if you're going to do it all in one day and redo it again. Okay, so the same thing. Drain out as much as you can. Put the funnel in there. Leave it drained, because you're going to be taking the rear calipers off as well as the wheel. I think you got to do both to get this one off. But here's my brake pads. They're pretty thin, so I'm going to order some new ones. Pretty easy. You just pop out these pins right here from the other side, from the left side of the motorcycle. You can pop them out, and then you pull this little spring out, and there's a little tiny pin in the middle, and then they come right out. Alright, so they're fairly easy to work on. I think the whole brake system, brake pads, is an easy job. Alright, so that's the second step. So then you're going to pull the pistons back again with a pair of pliers or channel locks or whatever you got, and you shim it up again if you want to do it on the bike, your choice, but most people take them off. I'm going to try to do it on the bike. If I can find a trick to do it, I will. So it saves me taking these off as well as the tire. So it can't be too tight. So this is the thickness approximately of the disc itself. So I'll show you it goes over the disc. A little bit of play. You don't want to be so tight. It doesn't need to be perfect. So basically I'm putting it in like this. And I put the safety wire on so I can get it out because it falls below the surface. So now it's shimmed out onto the piston, and when I want to take it out, I just pull up on the safety wire. Alright. Also, if you had new brake pads, you can just pull the piston right here. So that when it goes in, it can't be too tall either, because you can't get it in here. You know, so it's got to be angled, either 45 degree or something like that. So I just rounded it off. This is pretty. I rounded off the edges on the inside, so then when I'm pushing in case the boot is sticking out a little bit, it doesn't cut the boot. I think my shim could have been about 1 inch total thickness, so those outer two outer longer pieces could be almost like 0.4 inches each, and the center slot 0.2, so 1 inch total. My new brake pad was measured .358 inches thick, and there's still a little bit of play. So if you wanted to, you could probably make just two individual pieces, .4 inches each, and put them on each side of the rotor as a shim instead of making the unit I did. Okay, once you've pushed your pistons back and your fluid has risen in the back reservoir, drain out most of the old fluid, put your funnel in place, fill it up with new fresh fluid, and it's not the whole, you don't have to fill it too much because it's only one caliper. You don't want to have it too much and you got to just drain and waste fluid. Put your bleeder bag on, the 11 millimeter sized bleeder, and you're turning on the bike again, and you're just going to basically run the servo motor pump with the bleeder open until you get nice clean fluid, until you get that reservoir down below the level of the cap to the max mark, and close the bleeder, and you're done with the rear circuit. It's a real easy job, just like the front. I ran out of video to show it to you, but I'm just explaining it to you. So it's exactly the same as the front. To keep your battery from draining, remove the number 4 low beam headlight fuse, 7.5 amp, while you're doing the bleeding if you think you're going to be a while. Just want to remind everybody, once you finish with your main wheel circuits and the control circuit bleeding, and you've put your pistons and your calipers or your old brake pads back in, at this point your pistons would have been pushed all the way back, right? So you put your new, your old or even new ones. Mostly I'm just reminding you, if you put old ones in there and you've already filled the reservoir, once you turn the bike on, the pistons are going to push out till they hit the old worn out brake pads, and your reservoirs are going to drop. So sometimes you'll get a fault light right after you've left. You know, you try to go do your test ride and you think you got issues, but you know, all it is just your reservoir's a little bit low. Okay, so just be aware of that. The last thing you want to do is, after you put everything back together and you've actually run the brakes and cycled them with the handle, come back and top these off. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'm going to take my left bleeder out because it's got a slight seepage right under the threads. That's the original, so I'm going to put the speed bleeder in there. It's going to change anyway, so I might as well do it now. I took the pads out so I don't contaminate them with brake fluid. And put this rag right here. And I'm just going to take this out really quickly and be ready to put this in. It's 8 millimeter. So this should just come out by hand, starting to bleed already. Do it real quickly. So I'm going to have to go through the bleeding again. So that's all you got to do to replace them. Just leave the reservoir cap on, so it's kind of like holding a finger over a straw. And less will you got to lose a little bit, so we're going to have to do the bleeding. So this should be a lot easier now. So I'll show you how to do at least one of them with the speed bleeder. I can over tighten it, that should be good. Clean up the mess. I'm going to use some contact cleaner. Dries pretty quick, or you can use brake cleaner, up to you. Or soap and water, whatever. This stuff removes just about all the grease and cleans up pretty quickly. So I put a speed bleeder back in there. I did that on the first second of it. So, and because I already drained all the fluid out of the pistons, I'm not going to have to shim it. I'm just going to leave them where they are. I opened up the forward wheel circuit reservoir, which is the inboard one on the back, underneath the seat, underneath the coolant reserve tank. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually just open this speed bleeder like they say, quarter turn. And I'm going to turn the bike on. I'm not going to do it too much because I don't want to bleed the whole reservoir. I don't have the funnel in there. So it's open. Just want to show you how this works. If I press it, it comes the fluid, and I can leave it. I don't have to close it, which is nice. I'm just going to check my reservoir, make sure I have enough fluid in there. I want to let it dry because it will come out pretty quick. Let's see. Got the lid. I'll do it one more time. I just want to bleed out that little bit of a little tiny bit that I need right at the edge of the. Okay, I'm pressing the handle again. Nothing's coming out until I get the pressure up. There we go. That's good enough. I'm going to close it. So that does work pretty sweet. Very easy. I'm just going to refill my reservoir and I'm done. Since I already did all the major bleeding, it's all new fluid. Okay, my next video will be bleeding the Integral ABS servo unit.